Right then, for once, officially, there is no postscript at the end of this review. Right then, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, hello, wherever it is, whenever you are, if that makes sense. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knickknack. I do Knickknack's Daily Teasers. It's a range of exciting and wonderful and lovely brain teaser quizzes. You're welcome to poke around in the eye there. That'll introduce you to, hopefully, more of the teasers if I remember to put them in the cards. At either rate, they're out there on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to the channel to see them go past. I also talk about movies, and I'm thinking there's a few I'd like to catch. Although it has to be said, I've just seen the running time for the new The Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, and I'm thinking life is too bloody short to see 3 hours of bloody Batman, much as I like the character. That's possibly something I'm going to watch at another time once I get a free week spare. I also watch TV shows where and when I can. I think I really should sit down with the Book of Boba Fett at some point. I want to catch The Mandalorian. I've just caught the classic Doctor Who series, Galaxy 4, with William Hartnell, doing a very good Professor Yaffle impression, it has to be said. And over the past few weeks, I've been watching the 4th series of Star Trek Discovery, and for the most part, I've been impressed. I have, last night, seen episode 5, The Examples, and I wanted to tell you about it. Episode 5, The Examples, opens with a traditional summary of the previous episode, and then shifts to show us that the USS Janeway and the NSS T'Pau are monitoring the dark matter anomaly, the DMA, only for the thing to briefly disappear and then reappear a few seconds later and 1,000 light years away. Commander Stamets and Chief Engineer Jet Reno, Anthony Rapp and Tig Notaro, are observing from the Discovery and very aware what they've seen is completely, utterly impossible. Something they want to make sure that Captain Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, knows all about. Back at Starfleet headquarters, Admiral Vance, Oded Fehr, has a job or two for the Discovery and its captain. The DMA is now heading for a former Emerald Chain base, now colonised by a species called the Akali. Admiral Vance needs the Discovery to lead the evacuation mission, whilst hosting insufferable scientific genius Ruan Taka, Sean Doyle, who's going to be conducting experiments with Stamets and Sero and the chief engineer. It's only when Andy Burnham's back on board that she finds from the Akali leader that there's just one last group of people who the leader doesn't necessarily want the Federation to get off the planet. Do you get the impression that getting them out is going to be fiddly? I sure did. Now, Paul, I hear you say, Paul, is there truly a loving God out there that holds the entire world and the whole of humanity safe in his noodly appendages? No point asking me, I am not a theologist, I really am not. And I don't think I'm a Pastafarian either, but there you go. At any rate, and on a more serious note, what, I hear you say, did you make of The Examples? First things first, I should remind you of the way I rate movies. Something I've recently started doing for TV shows I watch as well. It goes from 0 stars, no stars whatsoever, which means avoid like the plague. That's the start, 0 stars. It goes all the way up to 4 stars, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 stars, which means go watch it now. Keep that in mind. It may be helpful when I tell you how many stars I give this particular episode. At any rate, the episode itself, The Examples itself, is let's be frank, it's well written, well acted, and well produced. The people behind Star Trek over the years have been making very good, very entertained, very well produced TV over the years. So what you can see on screen, you can pretty much guarantee these days is of good quality. It will be a good looking, well done episode, which is what The Examples is. It has to be said though, one of the plot threads, rescuing the prisoners, rescuing a group that are difficult to get out, it has been done before in the Star Trek Enterprise episode The Breach, if nowhere else. So as well told as this interpretation of the basic idea is, it has been done before. It's not original. It's well done, and sometimes you have to balance well done with originality, and you're going to prefer one or the other, I think. But it's well done, whatever else it is. We're also introduced to Ruon Tarka, not an otter, just in case you're wondering. We're introduced to Ruon, just in case you're wondering, there's an old kids book here in the UK called Tarka the Otter. So that's where I'd seen the name before. Never actually read Tarka the Otter, but that's where I know the name. Moving back on, we're introduced to scientist Ruon Tarka, played by Sean Doyle, who I should add does a competent job, and a believably arrogant, competent job as the character. I'm just not convinced that the conflict between Tarka and Stamets was as well written or as edited as it could be. It seemed a little rushed to me, from going from tactless introduction to sort of peace, love, and harmony at the other end of the story. It didn't seem as well done as it maybe could have been. I also have to add that Jet Reno, played by Tig Notaro, bless her, seemed a lot more restrained than usual. I've come to expect a certain amount of comedy from the character. There's a comedy grouch there, and I expect a certain amount of. I like it. She's almost, if you will, a descendant of Dr. Bones McCoy, the grouchiest character in the original series, I think. And in that she's going to be the one that's going to make the pithy comment. We didn't see that tonight. I was a little disappointed. It's like seeing an old friend who's mildly ill and just not the usual self. A little disappointing there, I thought. The highlights of the episode, though, it's got to be said, and there were a couple, was Michael Greyeyes as the leading prisoner, Felix. He was the main prisoner and the one who'd been in prison in this part of the Emerald Chain Colony for quite a serious crime. He plays the character with a hell of a lot of gravitas, a hell of a lot of dignity there. And also there's this touching thing where he's kept hidden a jeweled orb that is a record of a noble Arcalian family. And he gives it to Captain Burnham to hand back to the family. It's a touching, beautiful thing, and you can see that the character's arc, however short it is wonderful to watch. So there's that. The other thing was one of the last scenes. Book, the ever excellent David Ajala. And again, he puts in a great little performance, especially in this scene I'm talking about. Book is in the Discovery's equivalent of the 10 Forward Lounge on the TNG version of the Enterprise, when Tarka walks in, hands him a hip flask of Roisian whiskey, just to make a change from the synthahol they usually have in these circumstances. And in the ensuing discussion, tells Book that he knows, or has a very good idea, of who's behind the DMA. It's a riveting, watchable scene, and it's a beautiful, riveting, watchable scene. It's a beautiful scene at the end of an episode that's just quite good. The episode's quite good. This scene is one of the best bits of TV in the series, I think, and it's following the book. So it's a great scene. It's a beautiful scene that actually far better than the good episode it's in, if you follow my gist. At any rate, don't get me wrong. The examples is still well done, but bar that one scene and that one performance, possibly not the best episodes of the series so far. It still leaves me looking forward to the next episode because, of course, hopefully that is going to be an improvement. And I'll be watching that on the 29th of April, next Friday, and I'll have my video review up on the 30th. Hopefully, I'll see you then. If you're watching along, please let me know. Please remember I've given the examples 2 stars instead of the usual 4 I've given earlier episodes. So I'm going to be glued to that. Leave me a comment in the comments underneath, at the bottom of this, underneath this video, or on the blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar. I'll see you next week. Have a good time. Take care now. Be good to yourself. Don't fall off the spud.